Hello everyone. I'm going to continue on with this student data portal that I created in a previous video. If you didn't watch that and you're just jumping in, there's a link on the screen to that other video. If you want to just dive in with us, there's not too much code. All we're doing is a little bit of styling on a page that's going to create um, several different files for a student. The goal being to show you how you can tie in multiple services with Google Apps Script to do one thing. So really what we're going to have here is we're going to have a place to input student names, and then it's going to create that list of students here. So you can type in, uh, it's my name and then Sally Smith. And then when you click Add Students, it's going to populate a list over here. It's going to create folders on Drive. It's going to create documents, all kinds of good stuff. We're even going to use the Contacts app to manage all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. We're already passing in the students array. Well, with that, we got to do a couple of things here. We're going to have to loop through that array, and we'll just use a basic for loop. And the standard is to use I as the incrementer, and if it's less than students, not strength, students.length, combining things here. It's late in the afternoon, so you start to get a little, brain starts to mix things together here. So we're going to create a folder. I'm just going to type out what we need here. We're going to create a document in that folder, and we're going to create a contact that has the links to it in there. And sorry, we're even going to do, we need to get an email address. So the folder, we're going to call the Drive app, and we're going to do create folder, and that's going to be students. And then we're going to put that incrementer I in there. And there, we've got a folder created. Now the document is a little more difficult because we've got to do document app dot create. And we still want to use students with the incrementer in there. And then we want to, I believe, call, let me space these. Okay, yeah, we're going to do drive app dot get file by ID, and then we're going to pass in document dot get ID to get that file ID, and then we're going to do add. Let's see, I believe it's make copy. Yep, make a copy. And make a copy in, whoops, folder get ID. I believe that will set us up with a document there. Now the email address is going to be just the students, whoops, this variable that we pass in here. Same thing that we've gotten here. However, we are going to students, and then we're going to replace the space with a dot. Whoops. Space. I keep hitting enter. With a dot. And we are going to add at schoolname.k12.us, and that should give us an email address. And then our contact is going to be contacts app dot create contact, and the name of the contact is going to be students with our I incrementer. Family name, that's just the last name. We got to split the, okay, so let's create a full name variable, and we're going to take students, and we're going to do I, and we're going to split it at that space. And then the first name is going to be full name 0, and last name equals full name 1. All right, this will be an easier way to do this. And instead of typing it this way, we can just type first name, and we'll add a dot, and then we're going to add last name. And then we're adding at schoolname.k12. That's an easier way. That makes everything a little clearer for us to read. And it allows us to then to create this contact with, shoot, and I forgot what the, okay, this will allow us to use the name a little bit better. I'm just going to comment this. I am really bad at adding comments to my code, so when I come back to it, I don't know why I did things. So I'm trying to get better at that. This isn't a great example of that. However, it is good to make the effort. So sorry about that. Let me do the contacts app, and we're going to create a contact with the given name, first name, and family name, last name, and then the email. We already have that email variable. It's perfect. And we can add a URL, and we're going to call this drive folder, and I'm going to say folder.getURL. Now, just to make everything, put everything onto one line, I'm going to space that out one, and I'm going to add, yeah, that's perfect. So we're still in our for loop. Here I'm going to put a comment here, loop through student array, and then this bracket is end of the student's loop, so we know where we are. Now, I'm going to declare a variable, and we're just going to call it student, and it's going to be an object with a couple of keys. I'm going to give it first name, and that's just going to be the first name variable we created. We're going to have a last name, and that's going to be the last name variable we created. There's going to be a, let's see, yeah, we want the folder URL, so we want the, oh, what happened? Having trouble, check your internet connection. I may have lost connection, might have to reset that in a second. Let's say folder URL, and we're going to call this folder.getURL. And that should be a decent little student, and we're going to actually create an array up here. Whoops, all students, and it's going to be an empty array. And in that all students, we're going to push this student that we just created. So create an object with all of our info, and then we're going to push that to all students, and then I want to return all students. Now, that, let's save it. Oh, okay. Must have reconnected me. So, that all students array is going to get returned right to here. And we're going to console log that, and that should work. However, as well, if you've been coding long enough, you just always expect it to not work the first time, and maybe we're going to have to do a little bit of troubleshooting. Now I'm going to redeploy this just because I'm calling in a few other permissions, which is okay because I am the creator of this. I'm the only one allowed to run this app. I'm creating this portal just for my classroom use, and we should be able to refresh this page. I'm going to open up my developer console, and I'm going to try to create a Jordan Ray, a Sally Smith, and a John Deere. Why not? And let's look for our error message here. Or perhaps not. Maybe we can even go over to the drive and see things being created. I don't know. Let's see. Do we have any folders in there? No. Oh, you know why? I think that I'm just creating them right on the My Drive. Yep. So that worked pretty well, but we need to fine tune a few things. And one of those things is we need to actually put it into a students folder so that we don't let things get out of control. I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to call this folder, well, I'll call it students folder ID, and that's just going to be a blank string. And you get that ID just from creating the folder on your drive, going in there, copying it from the URL, and paste it right in here. There's other ways to get that folder, and we can get that programmatically without having to copy and paste. But since this is a simple tool for our own use for managing our classrooms, let's just go ahead and copy it directly, and we'll just create a static reference to it. So this folder here, we're going to create the folder. Instead of creating the folder right in the Drive app, I want to do get folder by ID, and I want to pass in students folder ID, and then in there I want to create each of those student folders. Perfect. Now I also want to do one other thing. I want to pass in a link to, well, actually I can do that separately. The contacts, we should be able to go to contacts, and there should be all of our students should show up in here. And obviously this is my training account, so I don't really use this too much. Let's go in here. Did it create my students? No, I don't see any students in here. You have no contacts yet. Add a contact. So I'm doing this contacts app, create contact, add a URL. What else am I doing wrong here? Okay, I'm going to come back to that. Okay, so I'm passing the students array back into this, and now I want to display them on the main page. So I'm going to actually change response to students. We're going to use this variable, and we're going to actually call, we're going to run a function called map, and I'm going to say variable, and I'm going to say student LIs. And we're going to go students.map, and that's going to loop through each of these and then return a modified version of what's in that, what's inside there. So I'm going to do function each. Oh, I can actually singularize students, and that should be good to go. And now I want to return, and there's a new way that we can actually, these backticks here will allow us to multi-line some text and make it a little cleaner to return HTML elements as a string that we can then push up into our container here, right? We want to add to this unordered list, and we're going to do that easily with these backticks. So this is not a normal, these aren't normal single quotes, these are backticks, usually below the tilde, next to the 1 key. It's an ES6 standard, which is only going to work in this front end portion of your code. You can't use this stuff in code.js. because this is Google Scripts, and here you can use those things as long as your browser is up to date. So in here, I'm actually going to type li, and I'm going to make a link, and it's going to be href, and I'm going to double quote that, and then I'm going to $, and then curly braces, and that's going to be student dot first name space $, curly braces, student dot last name, and then I'm going to close the A and then close the li. I'm going to break these onto multiple lines, and that should be okay. And I'm going to put the folder, same thing, $, and then those curly braces, and we're going to put that folder URL right on in there. Now, that should be pretty clear. That should be pretty clear in terms of, simple objects in JavaScript. If it's not, comment below. Let me know. How can I better demonstrate what I'm doing here, so that for viewers, how can I make this a little cleaner? But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to find this UL here. I'm going to give it an ID of student list, and then down here I'm going to document. I'm not using jQuery or anything like that. You could actually put jQuery into this, and if you wanted to. I just think it's not necessary for this simple amount of JavaScript. So we want to get element by ID, and it's student tac list, and then we want to grab the inner HTML, and then I want to set it equal to the student li's variable dot join, and I want to then put in empty single quotes. Okay, so what it's going to do, because this is going to be an array, actually, an array of strings that just say this, right? And we don't want it to interpret it as text. We want it to interpret it as HTML. So we're going to add it to the inner HTML, but we got to join the arrays, the elements in the array together first. And we don't want it to put commas or spaces or anything. We just want to jumble it all together. So that should give us what we want here, and they should be links. If this, if these backticks work in there and everything, that should give us links to what we're doing. So let's have a look here. Jordan Ray, and I wanted Sally Smith and John Deere. It's 3 students. Add them all together. Let's see. It'll take a second. It's not going to be instantaneous. It does take a second. There we go. 3 folders have appeared in here. Let's see if there's files in there. There's no file in there. I don't like that. And folder URL is not defined. Okay. So of course not. Student dot folder URL. Okay. Student folder URL. So let's add students one more time, and let's see if we get that student list. Now, what it's not doing is it's not reading from our folder and seeing which students already. Oh, you know what? I didn't refresh the page. That's why. You got to refresh. It's not like CodePen giving you a live update here. I'm going to delete these folders because ideally we would want it to read from this folder and give us an array of students that are already created, so we're not creating a bunch of duplicates. However, for this simple example, we don't need to do it. Jordan Ray, Sally Smith, and John Deere. All right, let's see if we get our array. And let's see if we get our student list here. I just want some links. There we go. All right, and now I should be able to click on these, and it should take me to the folders for those students. Okay, you'll see that it opened up the student information. Close this. Student information, and it's in the same tab. We can actually change that pretty simply in our code, and just in the href, we're going to add a target equals underscore blank, and that'll give us it'll allow you to keep this portal open and then open them in a new tab. Let's see if we can do one other simple thing here. In order to, I think we're still not creating these contacts and these documents, but I'm going to actually leave that for now, and I'd love for somebody watching this to fix my code for me. I'm going to make this code available to everybody, and maybe you can fix that. We're going to do one other thing here. We're going to create a get students, and that's not going to take any parameters, but what we want it to do is we want to copy this same folder ID. Let's say, and then we want to get all of the folders that are inside there, and we want to put those into this student list before anything else happens. So let's say drive app.get folders. Yeah, let's get folder by ID, and we're going to say students folder ID, and then we're going to get folders in here, all of the folders. Now we're going to run a while loop. Oops, sorry, I need to actually save this into a variable. Folders, and while folders.hasNext, we want to folder equal folders.next, and that's going to give us this folder, right? So we want to, let's say full name equals folder.getName, and then we want to do first name and last name. Ooh, so we want to get name.split, and we're going to split it on the space, and then the first name equals full name 0, element 0, and then last name is full name element 1. So pretty much just like what we did down here, we're doing it again. There's probably a better way to do this. I could create a function that does this for me, and that way I wouldn't have to duplicate this code this way, but it's different enough that I'm going to do it this way for right now. And then I want to, I'm going to create var all students equals an empty array, and then I want to do all students push, and we're going to push an object into this thing, just like we're doing down here. This is just a different way of doing the exact same thing. Here I'm creating a student object and then pushing that in. I'm not even gonna name the object this time. I'm gonna push it right in here. I want a first name. I want a first name, and that's gonna be first name. I want a last name. That's gonna be last name. And then I want folder URL, and that's going to be folder get URL. Perfect. No semicolon there. And at the end, after this while loop is all over, I'm going to return all students. Perfect. So back in our index.html, we need to make a few changes. In the main, when the page loads, we want to run that get students function that we just wrote, Google script.run, and we'll say .with success handler, and we're running get students. Is that right? Or did I say get all students? Just get students. Okay, get students, no parameters, just get students. And when it runs, we actually want to run this exact same code that we have here. So I am going to break this out into its own function, and I'm going to call this function show, actually I'll just say display students. And then we're going to pass in students and create those semicolons, and let me paste that. So I can delete this anonymous function that I had, and we're going to give it the name display students. I'm going to fix the indentation there, perfect, and everything else should run exactly the same, but now we need to display the students. So where I have with success handler here, everything inside of this function is just going to be called display students. And because it's implied, the response is implied, so we don't even need to type that in there. We just can type in display students as long as we match it there. And we are going to then, with success handler, we're going to type display students right there. Perfect. And I just realized there's one other little change other than those indents there. I like to have those. We actually, instead of inner HTML equals that, because really all that's going to do is it's going to, if we are creating new students, we actually want to, I think we want to do, well, let's leave it like this and let's see what comes up here. So I'm going to refresh this page, and we should get a student list. Okay, great. And let me open this. And there's nothing in there. There should be a document in there. And there should be, it should be creating a contact also, but it's not doing that. And if we add students, those are going to, yeah, so that would overwrite it. So what we want to do here is we want to do plus equal to. So if we add students, those are going to get added to this student list here. So let me try this one more time. I'm going to refresh this. We've got our list, and let's say I want to add Bill Brasky. So if we add Bill Brasky, will he just show up? Yes, he did. Perfect. And we're great. The link works. It's got a folder. Perfect. It didn't clear this out. I'm going to show you one other way we can do that. Tighten things up here. We want to do add students. We want to, I believe it's e.target.reset. Let's see. e.target.reset should work. Okay, so I'm going to add one more. Brianna Baker. I'm very alliterative with my names here. Good. All right, so it removed her. That reset our form. We've got Brianna Baker over here. Now, the things that didn't work, creating the document, creating the contacts, I would love to leave that for anyone watching this to fix those errors for me. Please do. Or if you just want to, if you could just tell me in the comments below the video what you think would be a great fix for that, that would be perfect. I'd love to hear ways that I can improve what I'm doing. If you like this video, please subscribe. Stay tuned for more great videos. Talk to you soon. Cheers.